Good evening, everyone. So the session that I have for all of you today is basically just revisiting one of the CAT papers from the recent time, CAT 25. So today I have brought with me the CAT 2025 slot 1 paper. And of course, we'll not be covering all the questions or will not be going through all the questions one after the other. That is done in a separate video. So in this particular session, what we shall be doing is we'll be looking at some of the tougher questions that we had, right? Difficult or tricky questions that we had from CAT 25. So for example, there were some questions which looked as if the answer should be, let's say, 3. But when you dig a little deeper, you understand that out of the 3 different possibilities, 2 are ruled out due to some property that we have pertaining to, let's say, denominator of a fraction, pertaining to, let's say, number inside the square root, something like that. So that is why I call few questions as tricky too. So let's take them up one after the other. It's going to be a very short session, so probably around 30-40 minutes time. I'll be taking you through some 10 to 12 questions. Now, before I continue with the questions, I would like to share a small insight into this slot 1 paper of CAT 2025, the quant section. Now, if you look at the difficulty level, the quant section in CAT 25 was probably the slot 1 was the second most difficult. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the cutoffs and all, probably it was the second most difficult quant only. The first was the slot 3. But even though it was at number 2, let me just share some insights with respect to the kind of cutoffs that we had. The 99 percentile was achieved at what mark, 95 at what mark. Let me quickly share that. I have this table ready with me. So if you look at the score, if someone was able to get, let's say, 4 questions all right, then he or she would be crossing the 85 percentile barrier. Because typically at most of the B schools, the cutoff is perceived to be around 85, 86 percentile level. So with 4 questions, one could have crossed the cutoff. Now with 14, that means if you attempt one more question, you would reach the 90 percentile level. 18, one more question, you would reach 95 percentile level. But however, the jump from here to here is slightly higher. So here you need to attempt around 9 to 10 questions. I'll take 10 questions because I'm giving some gap for negatives also. There could be some questions which could go wrong, but let's assume all right. So 9 questions will be sufficient. So 9 to 10 questions with a very good accuracy can actually lead you to 99 percentile levels. Now, what does this mean with respect to the CAT quant section? Now, with respect to the CAT quant section, this is the requirement in terms of number of questions out of the 22 questions that we have in the test. So that means roughly 20% of the paper, if you're able to attempt, I'm not even saying half, 20% of the paper, you would clear the cutoff. So please bear this in mind when we are going to discuss today's difficult questions or tricky questions. I am intentionally leaving out a few questions which are actually on the easier side, right? Easier or moderate level. Of course, there will be some questions here as well which could qualify as moderate too. Let's get started with the very first question that we had here. So it says, for any natural number k, let ak be defined as 3 to the power k. The smallest, one second. Yeah, the smallest natural number m for which a1 to the power n 1 into a2 to the power 2 into so on, a20 to the power 20 is less than a21 into a22 into so on, a20 plus m is. See, the question, just by the look of it, might look like a really, really difficult question. And thus, in the first round, many students might think of just skipping this question, which is absolutely natural looking at the way this question is structured. Because here we talk about some power of 3 power k. And here, the inequality is given to us in a very, very complex manner. So let's try to decode this first. What exactly does it mean? So A1 would mean 3 power 1 whole power 1. into. So basically, I'm writing the left-hand side of the inequality. A2 whole power 2. A3 whole power 3. A4 whole power 4. So on. A20 will be 3 power 20 and whole power 20 is given. So this is your LHS. Now, if you study your LHS more carefully, observe what do you get here. The LHS will be 3 power 1 into 1 square into 3 power 2 square into 3 power 3 square into 3 power 20 square, so on. Right? So since bases are same, we can add up the powers. And now I see a very familiar formula in front of me. Sum of the squares of the first n natural numbers. What is the formula? Sigma n square. I'm sure we all know. Sigma n square is given as n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 upon 6. Right? So let's apply that. So 3 into 3 to the power. So here n is 20. So 20 into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 upon 6. So when you simplify, you will get what? This will go 420, 70 times. So left hand side will become 3 to the power 2870 and 10. So this is your left hand side. Now let's quickly look at what is the right hand side all about. What exactly is this expression? So A21 is very simple. 3 power 21 into 3 power 22 into 3 power 20 plus m it will become. So since bases are same, so we can add up the powers. So 21 plus 22 plus 20 plus m. Let's add them all. Now here you can use either AP formula or simple observation that this is nothing but 20 plus 1, 20 plus 2, 20 plus 3, 20 plus m. So that means there are m terms overall. You can think like that or apply AP formula. So thus there will be m20s plus 1 to m, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus m. That sum will remain. So 1 to m, the sum is m into m plus 1 by 2. Now, if you compare both the LHS and RHS, we can easily see that the bases are same. So we can compare the powers now. It's given that LHS is less than RHS. So hence can I say 2870 should be less than. Simplify this. So it will be what? 40m plus m square plus m by 2. Right? So this will be what? M square plus 41. So m into m plus 41 should be greater than. When you multiply this by 2, 5740 is what we get. Now, for what value of m? That's what is being asked. For any natural number k, let ak be 3 power k, the smallest natural number m for which this holds. So, of course, I cannot put m as 1 or 2 or 10 even. Let's try to look at the options and decide. Now, if you look at the first option choice, 58. So, if I put m equal to 58, 58 into this will be 58 plus 41 is 99. Now, this product will be very close to 5800, but one multiple of 58 less. So 58 into 99 will become what? 5742 is what you get. Now, is it more than 5740? Just by a bit. Notice that. And one thing is absolutely sure, since the gap is really small, anything lower than 58 will definitely reduce its value much higher than 5740. So hence the inequality won't be holding true. And thus the very first option choice matches. And as you see, it's a really close number that we're getting here. All right. So thus we can mark the first option choice as the answer. So of course, this is not an easy question, but making use of some option choice elimination, some approximations, some use of speed maths and all, quick calculations and all, can actually help us. I think we can solve this question in around 2 minutes time, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes maybe, all right, max. It's doable within around 2 minutes for sure. I'm not saying 1 minute, because 1 minute, you need some time to understand it, write it down in standard form. It would all take some time. So, but still I say 2 minutes is sufficient. I hope we are clear with this. So the answer should be the first option choice. Moving on. Now, next question. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. It says, in a school, there were more than 10 boys and certain number of girls. So let's say the number of boys is B, number of girls is G. And it's given that the number of boys is more than 10. So this number is more than 10. And a certain number of girls, after 40% of the girls and 60% of the boys left the class. Now, since I see 40% and 60%, they are 2 by 5 and 3 by 5 respectively, it would make sense if you take the number of boys as a multiple of 5. Naturally, they should be multiple of 5 only, right? 5b, and this will be 5g. So 5b is more than 10 is given. That would mean b should be more than 2 always. I need to remember this. Now he says after 40% of the girls leave, so that means 2g girls leave. So 3g girls remain. And 60% of the boys, 60% of this is 3b boys left. So 2b boys are remaining. Sorry, 2b boys are remaining. Then what does it say? The remaining number of girls was 8 more than the remaining number of boys. So number of girls minus number of boys should be 8. We get to know this. Then the minimum possible number of students initially in the class, this sum here is. So my answer is 5 into b plus g, right? My answer is 5 into b plus g. Now from this equation, we need to figure out a value of g and b such that b should be greater than 2. So here if you just put in some values at random, so probably something like g equal to 4, right? So it is 3 into g, 12. So b will be 2. But this is not acceptable, right? Why? Because b is becoming 2, but b should be more than 2. What would be the other solution? You could probably put g as 6. So then b will be 5, correct? So this is acceptable because b is more than 2, absolutely fine. And any other solution that you will search for will only increase the value of g and b. So will not go any further beyond this particular case. So this is like the minimum possible cases values that we can have for g comma b. And hence can I say my answer will be 5 into b plus g. What is b plus g? 11. Hence my answer should be written as 55. I hope we are clear with this. So this question, I have selected it here because even though this question looked easy, right? Because it's simple percentages, simple equation based questions, all right? Simple conditions to deal with. But here, one common mistake that could be committed by a student is ignoring the values of b. There's a restriction that we have. If you ignore that, so probably you will put this case and get the answer. And since this is a theta question, that will only add to the difficulty of this particular question. So the answer is 55. Moving on. There's a person who travels a distance of 224 kilometers in 4 parts. So 224 kilometers, they are being traveled in 4 parts. So part 1 of the distance, part 2, part 3, and part 4. And 224 kilometers overall, covered in 3 hours. Her speeds in these 4 parts follow an arithmetic progression. So speed here, 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 and here, they are in AP. And the corresponding time taken to cover these 4 parts follow another arithmetic progression. So times are also in AP, speeds are also in AP. If she travels at a speed of 960 meters per second for 30 minutes to cover the first part. So here she is traveling at 960 meters per minute. And she's traveling for 30 minutes. So this multiplying these two clearly gives me the total distance that she traveled here over this part will be 960 into 30 will be 9600 into 3, which is what? 28,800 meters. So this is a distance over first part. Let's write as D1. Now, then he says, then the distance in meters she travels in the 4th part here is how much? Now, one thing that I would like to highlight here is, we know the total travel time, 3 hours. So 3 hours will be 180 minutes. And it's also given that times are in AP. That's one more clue that we have. So if this is 30, say this is 30 plus D, 30 plus 2D, 30 plus 3D, all in minutes. Add them all. So 30 will come 4 times. So it's 120 plus it is 6D should be equal to 180 minutes. 3 hours is 180 minutes. So when you solve this, you'll get the value of D as 10. That would mean what? This is 30 plus 10 means 40 minutes. This is 50 minutes. And this is 60 minutes. 1 hour. So that means the final leg of the journey was carried on for exactly 1 hour. Okay. Next, what else do we know? We know the speeds are also in AP. So this is 960. Suppose this is 960 plus some D. Or probably D1, I can say. I'll just remove this value. I'm using D for speed now. 960 plus 2D. 960 plus 3D. speeds in meters per minute, time in minutes. So multiplying these two correspondingly will give us D2 as 960 into 40 plus 40D. So what is 960 into 40? Let's try to calculate that. So it will be over on this, there's an increase of 9,600, which will make it what? 38,400 meters plus 40D. This is your D2. What about D3? D3 is 960 into 50. It's what? 48,000 plus 100D. 2D into 50 is 100D. This is your D3. And what about D4? This is what is being asked. So D4 will be 960 into 60 will be what? 57,600 plus 60 into 3 is 180D. This is your D4. And this is what we have to answer. This is my answer also. Now, we know that the total distance, sum of these four boxes here, should be equal to 224 kilometers. So it's 224,000 kilometers, meters. So add them all. So when you add them all, 40 and 100, 140 and 180, 320D plus 28,800 plus 38,400. We need to be very careful while adding it. 400 and 600 is 1,000, 58,000, 66, 96,000, 96,000 and 1,44,000, 1,44 and 152, 172, 800 is 2,24,000. Just simplify. So 320D will be equal to what? When you subtract these two, you'll get 1,200, right? Or rather, let's say 200. 173, 51,200. Now I think we can cancel out some factors here. So this is 2 power 9, this is 2 power 5. So this will go 16 times. 160 is what you get, the value of D. So once you get the value of D, my answer is here. Thus my answer, see, this question involves great level of calculation as you see. See, first thing is the length of the question. The length itself, by reading it, many students might just assume it to be a difficult question and leave it. Of course, it is difficult. But if you are someone who has practiced the quant section consistently, you have solved too many questions of this model, let's say time, speed, distance, arithmetic progression, right, solving equations, mental maths. If you're someone who has done this constantly for a very long time, I think you will find time for this question also. So my answer here will be 57,600 plus 180 into 160. This will be what? 57,600 plus 18 into 16 will be 288. 288, 00. So when you add them, 00, 76 and 88 will be 84. 64, 1 carry, 864. So 86,400 meters, because the question was in meters. So option choice 1. So thus, option choice 1 should be the answer. That was the answer. But of course, it will take time. It's not that it's a question that can be solved in like just a minute. No, definitely not. It would take definitely around 2 minutes, little more than that probably also. Next one. Now, next one, it says there's this number x that lies between 3 to 6, right? 3 to 6. And it's given that square bracket x square is equal to square bracket x the square, whole square, where square bracket x is the greatest integer not exceeding x. So it's like the floor function. I hope we all understand what the floor function is. So if you take 3.1 in square bracket, the largest integer which is less than or equal to this is 3. Greatest integer not exceeding x would mean what? Either equal to x or less than x. So the greatest integer not exceeding 3.1 is 3. If you take 4.999, it's 4, not 5. If you take 3, it's 3 because not exceeding 3. What's the greatest integer not more than 3? It's 3 only. Then, if I take some negative value, then it will change slightly. Please understand. Now, what is the greatest integer? What is the greatest integer which is less than or equal to minus 2.6? So just think about it. It's not minus 2 because minus 2 is more than this. It will be minus 3. Greatest integer which is not greater than this. So basically less than or equal to minus 2.6 will be minus 3. So this is what your floor function basically is. After we understand this, basic understanding is developed about the floor function, we can try to answer this. If set S represents all feasible values of X. So let's focus on S. What will the set S consist of? And then the question is, a possible subset of S is. Okay, let's try to understand. Let's start from 3. So in S, do we have a 3? If I put 3 here, 3 square, it's 9. Square bracket 9 is 9 only. Square bracket 3 is 3. 3 square is 9. Absolutely. So it will start from 3 only. What about if I put 3.1? If I put 3.1, 3.1 square is 9.61. Square bracket, it will be 9. Square bracket 3.1 is 3. 3 square is also 9. So left hand side, right hand side matches. So 3.1 will also come in my set S. It will be part of the set S. What about 3.2? Let's be careful. 3.2. 3.2 square happens to be 10.24. When you take square bracket, it will be 10. But if you take square bracket 3.2, think about it, it will be 3. And 3 square will be 9. So that means there will be a mismatch here if you take 3.2 also. So that means I need to stop this range in 3's, somewhere before 3.2 only. Now, where should I stop exactly? Now, if you look at the option choices also, you may get a clue. Root 10 probably. So let's try to put X as root 10 here. If I put root 10 square will be 10. So left hand side is 3, is 10. Right hand side, root 10 will be 3, square bracket of root 10. I hope you see why. Because this will be something like 3.15 square, something like that, right? So this will be 3. 3 square will be 9. So that means root 10 value should not be part of the set S. It should not be part of S. So thus, S will consist of square bracket 3, but open bracket root 10. So this is what S should consist of, right? Now, the moment I understand this bit, clearly 2 options are ruled out because here we're including root 10. 1 and 2 definitely cannot be my answer. Now I am struggling observing between 3 and 4. The third option, fourth option. Observe. What next? I cannot take any higher values in 3's. 3.2, 3.3, 3.7. No, I can't take. Then I can start from 4 again. I can start from 4 very well. So if I start from 4, observe. So 4 square 16. I just clean this all. 4 square 16. So left hand side is 16. Square bracket 4, 4 square 16. So yes, 4 will be part. What about 4.1? So 4.1, if you'll see, 4.1 square is 16.81. Square bracket will be 16. And square bracket 4.1 will be 4. 4 square will be 16. Yes, 4.1 will be part of it. Now, where does it stop? Now, again, if you look at the options, root 17 is where it should stop. But at root 17, for a similar reason, it should be an open bracket, not closed bracket. Next, 5, we can guess now, I hope, to root 26. But again, open bracket, not close bracket. Union, 6 I can't go because I cannot go beyond 6. So it will be only 6. So this is what the set S consists of overall. Now I need to find out of 3 and 4, which is a proper subset of this. Correct subset of this. So is 4 comma root 18 possible? Absolutely not. It's not a subset, right? Because the range in 4 is stopping at root 17 only. So thus fourth option is also ruled out. Now if you look at this remaining, 3 to 10, yes, it's a subset of this. 5 to root 26, yes, it's a subset of this. 6, yes, it's a subset of this. Absolutely correct. Option choice 3 will be the correct answer. See, in the test, of course, we'll not be taking this much time in reasoning, in figuring out what the answer is. Now, in the test, all these analysis, calculations will be happening much faster. I hope you understand that, right? It is not that, for example, I'm eliminating these two, I'm sharing the reason also, right? Then I'm eliminating this, I'm showing you why it is not the answer. And when I said this is the answer, I'm actually verifying it. All that is not really required, right? In the test, things will be very fast. The third option will be the correct answer. So all these I say are above average questions. So far we have solved 4 questions. So with 4 questions, that too of difficult nature, I could have reached 85 percentile by now. More than, in fact, more than 85%. Next one, let's look at this. Now here we have a set which is consisting of consecutive odd numbers 1 to 57. There is a number k such that sum of all the elements less than k. So that means 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus so on, all odd numbers just less than k, just before k, this sum is equal to sum of all the elements greater than k. So you'll have k and then all the numbers above k, all the odd numbers above k till 55 and 57. This sum, they are equal. One second. One second. Yeah, I think I'm back. Yeah, I hope you can see the screen now. Yeah, it's back. Okay, so if I take k, which is an odd number, to be of the form 2a minus 1, suppose, where a is some integer value, right? For example, if you take 9, it is 2 into 5 minus 1. If you take 17, 2 into 9, I'm sure we understand this. Suppose k is some 2a minus 1 type of number. Now, what will be the odd number before it, just before it? So it will be 2a minus 3, isn't it? Correct? It will be 2a minus 3. Now, sum of the first, so the number still 2a minus 1. So 1 plus 2 plus 3, sorry, 1 plus 3 plus 5, sum of odd numbers we're taking, right? Plus 2a minus 1. This will be equal to a square because we are taking the first a odd numbers. So it's a square. Now, instead of this, if I take the first a minus 1 odd numbers, it will be a minus 1 the square. So this sum here must be equal to a minus 1 the whole square. I write that. I hope we are clear with this simplification. Next, now what do I want? If this is 2a minus 1, my odd number series will start from 2a plus 1, 2a plus 3, plus so on till 57. Now what will this sum be? If you look at this sum, it is sum of all the numbers, 1 plus 3 plus so on, plus 2a minus 1, plus 2a plus 1, plus so on, plus 57. Sum of all these, but from this, I need to remove this. For finding the RHS, I need to remove this. So thus my answer will be sum of all the, how many odd numbers are there? 57 is 2a minus 2k minus 1, suppose. So 57 is 29th odd number. So it will be 29 square, sum of the first 29 odd numbers, minus a square. Right? Now just simplify this. So this will be what? A square minus 2a plus 1. 29 square is 841 minus a square. So let's take everything on one side and solve it. So 2 into a square minus a minus this will be what? 420. 0. So a square minus a minus 420 is a quadratic. We can factorize it. So when you factorize it, factors are 21 and 20. So minus 21a plus 20a. So a minus 21 into a plus 20 equal to 0. Now, since we are taking all as you can see, natural numbers, the possibility for a to be negative is non-existent. A cannot be negative. So thus, this cannot be 0. The value of a should be 21 only. And if a is 21, that's not the answer. The question was find the value of k. So k will be equal to, one second guys, k will be equal to my answer 2a minus 1. So 2 into 21, 42. 41 should be the correct answer. I hope we are clear with how we can use the sum to n square, sum to n terms of odd numbers in this question. So this question was basically was completely dependent on that particular formula, that particular representation. A very nice way to frame the question. So this will make the student think in the test. It's not that direct. 41 is the correct answer. Next. So there's a person who divided her investment of 1 lakh between stocks, bonds, gold. So there is stocks, bonds, and gold. And the total amount is 1 lakh. Her investment in bonds here was 25% of her investment in gold. So suppose in gold she invested 4x. So that means in bond it will be 1/4 of this x. And the rest should come here. So 1 lakh minus 5x is invested in stocks. With annual returns of 10%, 6%, and 8% on stocks. So this is 10%. Bonds is 6%. Let's be very careful. And gold is 8%. Okay, these are the returns. She gained a total amount of 8,200 in 1 year. Let's try to calculate the total gain. What will be the returns here? 10% of this amount. So 10% of 1 lakh is 10,000. Minus 10% of 5x is 0.5x. Return from stocks plus 6% of x is 0.06x. 8% of 4x is 4 into 0.32x. 8 into 4 is 32 by 100, 0.32x. So this should be equal to 8,200. Now let's take all variable terms on one side. So what do we get? Minus 0.5x and this is 0.38. So it will be 0.12x. And this will be what? 1800. Just solve it. So when you multiply by 100 on both sides, 12x will be equal to 1800 into 100. Now I can cancel out this 18 here. 18 will go 15, 150 times. So the value of x turns out to be 15,000. So in bonds, we have invested 15. Here we have invested 60, 4 times of that, and the rest is 25,000 in stocks. Now what's the question? The amount in rupees that she gained from the bonds. So what's the amount she gained from bonds? It's 6%. So my answer will be 6% of 15,000. You solve it, it's 150 into 6, 900 rupees. So we just write 900 here and get our answer. So this question again is not very complex. If you do it very patiently, you can actually crack the question very, very easily. But the point here was there is a possibility of, many students have done this in the test, possibility of interchanging the two returns in that hurry, putting 8 here, putting 6 here. So that is why you need to be extra careful when you're solving questions of slightly lesser difficulty. Because if you go wrong here, everyone else will move beyond you. You need to be very, very careful. Next. Now, if you look at the next question, there are 3 people. They are working, if working alone, they can complete the task in 24, 21, and 15 days. So 24 days for the first person, 21 days for the second, and 15 days for the third person. They charge 2160 per day, 2400 and 2160 per day. Even if they are employed for a partial day. So even if I call them for a few hours, so Arun, Varun, and Tarun, AVT. Even if I call them for a few hours, I have to pay them the entire day's wage. On any given day, any of the workers may or may not be employed to work if the task needs to be completed in 10 days or less. Lesser, the better, right? 10 days is the maximum time limit that we have. Then the minimum possible amount in rupees required to be paid for the entire task is. Now, one thing that we need to understand here is, since the time taken by each of them alone is much more than 10, so that means we need to go for combination of people. We need to definitely have pair of members working, because alone Tarun cannot do it, Varun cannot do it, Arun cannot do it, because they are taking much more than 10 days. So that means some grouping should be happening. But how should I decide this grouping? I want minimum possible amount to be paid. So let's try to quickly understand. If this is the number of days in which they can finish the work. And if you notice, for 15 days, Tarun is able to complete the entire work. That means he's the most efficient here. And if you notice, he's being paid one of the least amounts. One thing that I directly notice is Tarun definitely must be there in my list of workers. He's a star performer, right? He's charging less, but he's doing more work. He must be there. Then I'm confused between these two. Who is better? This guy is taking more amount, right? But he's also little more efficient as compared to Arun, right? So how do we decide between these two is observe. So number of days is 24 and 21. So ratio of number of days is 8:7. So that means ratio of efficiencies will be 7:8. So if you just think about it in a very, very crude way, for doing 7 units of work, this person is taking 2160. And for doing 8 units of work, this person is taking 2400. So can I say for Varun, 1 unit of effort is equivalent to 300 rupees. You see that? 2400 by 8. So again, these are the calculations that should happen in our head. We'll try to avoid writing too many things on the notepad that is given to us in CAT, right? So there's something that should happen in our head. And here, and this person for 7 units is charging 2160. So here it's more than 300 per unit of his work. So who is economical? So I would say Varun is the second best performer. So that means out of Arun and Varun, I'll choose Varun, not Arun. I hope this is clear. Okay. So for 1 day, this guy takes 2400. For 1 day, this guy takes 2160. I want to complete my work in 10 days. So let's assume Tarun is working on all the 10 days. So work done by Tarun in 10 days will be how much? 10 days or less, right? I'll try to see if I can do it in 10, right? Because 10 itself, Tarun alone won't be able to do it. So work done by Tarun in 10 days will be what? 10 by 15 is 2/3 of the work. So that means work that Varun must do must be equal to 1/3. Please note, for doing complete work, he takes 21 days. For doing 1/3 of the work, can I say he will take 1/3 in 21? 7 days. So that means effectively the complete work, entire work can be finished if Tarun works for 10 days. Most efficient worker is working for more number of days. The second most efficient worker is working for lesser number of days. This is what we want, right? Because we want to make our payment at bare minimum level, minimum possible. So this is a combination. So if Tarun works for 10 days, 1 day is paid what? 2160. For 10 days, he'll be paid 21,600. For 1 day, he's paid 2400. For 7 days, he'll be paid 16,800. Now just add them up. That should give us the answer as 38,400. So there's a minimum amount that must be paid for completing the task in 10 days is this. Now, can we do it in less than 10? Can we do it in less than 10? The answer is with this minimum possible amount condition, right? We can try to employ Arun also and try to finish it in less than 10 days. But then we have to pay more. We're not allowed to do that. So for paying the minimum possible amount in 10 days, the amount should be 38,400. Fourth option should be the correct answer. This question, once you understand it, is probably looking like a doable question. But the feedback that was received from students taking the test on that particular day was they were unclear. Many students were really unclear about what this question is asking them to do. It's only after thinking about the question for a little longer time, we could easily understand it. I could easily explain it to you, but in the test, it was not that direct. Thus, it came in this list. Next, there is a vessel which contains 200 liters of solution of acid and water. So there is some acid, there is some water, and total volume. Total volume is 200 liters. So acid is 30%, it will be 60 liters. This is 140 liters initially. Atul replaces 20% of the solution with water. Now there's a small rule that we have. Whenever you replace a solution with some quantity, same quantity of water, when you replace a solution with water, then the quantity of acid will fall by that replacement percentage. Meaning, if you replace 20%, then the quantity of acid will fall by 20%. Okay, it's not that water will rise by 20%. The quantity of the other fluid, other liquid will fall by 20, same 20%. So since we are replacing 20%, so make this fall by 20%. How much will this become? 20% less would be 48 liters. Overall, it should be 200 only. So this will be 152. Because we are replacing. We have removed something. We are putting back exactly same amount. So 200 should remain 200. So after this one change, it will be this situation. Then replaces 10% of the resulting solution, 10% with acid. Now, if you replace acid, then the other liquid, water, will drop by 10%. So what is 10% of this? 15.2. It will drop by 15.2, will become what? 136.8 liters. And this will be the rest because totally it should be 200 liters. So how much is the rest? Acid will be what? 3.2. 63.2. Okay. Next, what are we doing next? 15% of this solution is replaced with water again. So if you replace 15%, this should drop by 15%. So what is 15% of this? 10% will be 6.3 to 5% will be 3.16. So 9.48. So 9.4 is around 10. So 53.2, 53.7 approx, something like this. And the rest will be water, which is what? 146.3. See, again, these are approximate numbers. So this is actually turning out to be 9.48. So around 9.5. Yeah, it's okay. It's very, very close. Now, what's the question? The percentage of acid by volume in the final solution. How much is acid by total volume? Because you have to find percentage of acid into 100. My answer will be simply 53.7 by 2, which is what? 26.85 approximately. Is nearest to, he's asking us. So my answer will be the third option choice. 26.85 clearly is closest to third option. Right? I hope we are clear with this. The third option will be the correct answer. Next, in a circle with center C, so there is a circle that we have. Geometry question. See, generally people have this tendency of thinking of a geometry question as by default difficult. This question also looked a little lengthy if you look at it. Okay, radius is 6 root 2. I'll just write it down, 6 root 2. PQ and SR are two parallel chords. So suppose this is PQ and suppose this is your SR. Are parallel chords separated by one of the diameters. That is why I put one chord above the center, other chord below, because they should be separated by a diameter like this. If angle PQC, so I'll just draw that, angle PQC would mean this angle. This angle is 45. And the ratio of the perpendicular distance of PQ and SR from C is 3:2. So this distance is 3 parts, say 3K. This will be 2 parts, 2K, perpendicular. Suppose this is X, CX, and this is Y, CY. Then the area in square centimeter of the quadrilateral PQRS. So if you just complete this quadrilateral, cyclic quadrilateral, what will be its area? These are parallel. Now observe one small detail here. Now in this triangle CXQ, can I say it's a right angle triangle and angle Q is 45? That would directly mean angle C will also be 45, yes or no? So it's an isosceles right angle triangle. Now in isosceles right angle triangle, sides are equal, the perpendicular sides. So this is 3K, this will also be 3K. And not just that, if this is 3K, this is 3K. By Pythagoras, you may say this will be 3 root 2 into K, the radius. So that means the radius turns out to be this much. So when you solve this, K turns out to be 2. So the moment I get K as 2, what is Cx equal to? 6 units. What is Xq equal to? 6 units. And radius is anyways known. So that means PQ will be 12 units. I get to know this. Now once K is 2, can I say this distance here will be 4? Naturally. Right? So when I connect C with R, this is 6 root 2. Right? Now in triangle CYR, which is right angle triangle again, can I say CR square, Pythagoras theorem, will be equal to CY square plus YR square. This is Y, guys. What is CR square? 6 root 2 square is 72. 36 into 2. CY square is simply 16. So YR square will be equal to what? 56. So YR will be equal to 4 into 14. 2 root 14. So YR is 2 root 14. Can I say SR will be double of this, 4 root 14? Make sense? Next, he's asking us for the area. By the way, can I say one more thing? This is 3K, K is 2. So this will be 6. can we think of this PQRS quadrilateral as trapezium? Yes, we can think of it as a trapezium, right? So what is area of a trapezium? Half into sum of the parallel sides. So PQ is what? 6K. So this will be 6 plus 6, 12. And SR is 4 root 14 into the distance between the two parallel lines, which is 6 plus 4, 10. So when you solve this 5 times, I can take 4 common, 20 into 3 plus root 14. So this is what my answer should look like. And if you look at the option choices, clearly second option matches with this expression. So this question, of course, it's little detailed. It's not a very direct question. Okay, you apply Pythagoras once and you'll get the answer. No, it's not like that. But if you apply a few rules of, say, triangle, circle, you can easily get to your answer. A trapezium also, trapezium too. All right. So in fact, here, this question appears to be a question on circle, but circle had the least to do with this particular question. It was mostly triangles and trapeziums. The second option will be the correct answer. A few more. Let's look at this. The number of students in the morning shift and afternoon shift of a school was 13:9. Morning shift and afternoon shift. 13K and 9K, suppose. Morning shift and afternoon shift. After 21 students moved from morning shift to afternoon shift, so here there's a reduction of 21. Here there's an increase of 21. Morning shift, 21 students are shifted to afternoon shift. This ratio becomes 19:14. A very, very direct condition. We can easily find the value of K now by simply cross multiplying and solving. So 13 into 14 is 182K. 14 into 21 is 294. 19 nines is 171. 19 into 21 is 399. This will be what? 11K. 294 plus 399 will be 693. So K will be equal to 693 by 11 is 63. So the moment I know 63, the value of K, I can now find out in morning shift how many students are now remaining. So it will be 13 into 63 will be what? 780, 780, 819, 819, and I hope you're correct. Just a minute. 780 and 39 is 819. Or let's multiply it. Just be careful because one small mistake with calculation will push you down from +3 to -1. It's better we just don't take any chances. 1363. So 13 3 is 39, 3 carry. 13 6 is 78 and 3 819. From 819 we need to remove 21. It's going to be 798. 798. Morning shift, right now there are 798 people. And afternoon shift, it is 9K. So K is 63. So 63 into 9 will be what? 27. 567 plus 21. 568. 588. This is the current number that we have for morning and afternoon shift. Number of students. Next, what does it say? He says next, some new students join the morning and afternoon shifts in the ratio 3:8. So morning shift, number of students now will be some 3 parts. And afternoon shift, it will be 588 plus some 8 parts. This ratio becomes 5/4 again. One more equation given to us. When you simplify, this will be what? 3200, 3192 plus 12A, 2500, 2900, 2940 plus 48. So 28A will be equal to, simplify 52, 252. A will be equal to, this will go what? 9 times. Once you get A as 9, what is he asking us? Number of new students who joined. So new students who joined is this, 11A. So my answer will be 11A, which happens to be 99. So option choice 4 should be the correct answer. Now, why did I take this up here in this list of questions is because there is a very good chance for students to add this 3A on the original value and thereby not getting the answer and struggling to find out what went wrong and thereby wasting lots of minutes there. See, when you are in the test, if I talk about quant specifically, those 40 minutes, just put your focus on the given question. Just stay limited to the test. Don't try to think too much about other things, because otherwise it will hurt you the most. Here, small mistake, one small mistake, you will lose marks or you'll waste a lot of time. The fourth option will be the correct answer. Now, one more question. The reason I have taken it up here, I'll just share that. The number of distinct integer n for which this is true. Logarithm of n square minus 7n plus 11, the base 1 by 4, greater than 0. Now, many students might think that this is like one of the easiest, because there are two things involved here. One is logarithm in inequalities will change the sign. For example, if you take this base on the other side, it will change the sign if the base is less than 1. If the base is greater than 1, suppose. So here x will be greater than a by b, a power b, if a is greater than 1. And if a is less than 1, inequality will be reversed. So this is the first thing that we need to know. And here clearly the base is less than 1. Inequality will be reversed. So will be less than 1 by 4 to the power 0 is 1. This is n, sorry. So n square minus 7n plus 10 less than 0. Very easy to factorize. So n minus 5 into n minus 2. So when you say less than 0, n should belong to 2 to 5. Open bracket. Now, since we want distinct integer values, so the value of n could be 3 or 4 only. So how many values? We'll say 2. And hence mark 1 as the answer. But let me remind you of the mistake that this is a mistake that students will make in the test. They will immediately say 3, 4, 2 is the answer. The problem here is he's defining a function which is familiar to us, logarithm function. Now, when is logarithm defined? It is defined only and only when the number inside the logarithm is positive. So for n equal to 3, put here 3 square, 9, 7 into 3, 21, plus 11. This is negative 1. It's not defined. So thus n cannot be 3. So my answer cannot be 2. So probably it is 1. But before I mark 1, let me put n as 4 also. So when you put n as 4, what happens? 16 is 28 plus 11. Again, it is minus 1. So hence can I say n can't be equal to 4 also. So the two values that we had, the possible values, are both ruled out, and hence my answer should be fourth option choice. Now, many students will fail to carry out this last operation, last step, and thereby mark 2 as the answer and get a minus 1 for that question. And in fact, this year in CAT, the answer key released by CAT initially, I think, was 2 only, because the CAT authorities didn't realize this mistake. Only when it was pointed out to them, they changed the answer key. So thus, this was really, really interesting, tricky question. Not that difficult, but many students would have got it wrong. People who are not prepared properly. Fourth option will be the correct answer. So with this, we have come to the end of the session for today. I hope you found this session useful with respect to what difficulty level to expect in CAT, because that is really primary thing. The very first thing that you should do is, when you're starting your preparation, you need to have in your mind what exactly is the difficulty level that you can expect in the preparation. Because, for example, if the difficulty level is only till here on the scale, and if you're preparing at this level, there's no harm, but so much effort is unnecessarily wasted. At the same time, difficulty level is this, and you're preparing at this level, there's a big harm, clearly. You will not be able to clear the cutoffs. Right? So thus, I hope this particular session would have helped you with respect to identifying that particular difficulty. All right, then that's it for today. Thank you and all the very best.